Hello everyone, my name is Randy Harrington and I've got an interesting story for you here. Of course, we're going to keep the name of this gentleman private. He has reasons to want to keep his privacy, but this is a cabin that's built very, very close to the ridge that I've spent 20 years on, and you've already watched a bunch of videos from some of my stuff up on this ridge. And I met this gentleman. He's a professional. He was building this cabin on the weekends. He was coming in here on the weekends when I met him, what is it, 5 or 6 years ago?
Has to be.
Maybe
yeah,
longer.
Minimum, I think longer.
Yeah. So I've known him for a long time. I make it a point to stop in here every time I come in here. A lot of times he's working, so I stop in here and no one's here. But every once in a while I stop in and he is here. And he agreed to tell something that happened while he was building this cabin. And I've always told people this story, and I'm certain that I've gotten some of the details wrong. But now you're going to hear it straight from him. And here you go, buddy.
All right. This happened back in October of 2006. Just starting to build a cabin. Had the foundation done. Had the laser transit up to make sure everything was square. And the wife and I took a ride up the mountain. Friday night it was. Went up the mountain, came back. She made dinner. We had a table set up right in front of the tent, which was about 50 yards in front of where the cabin is now. Of course, there was no electricity in here, so there was no lights or anything like that. So she made a chicken dinner, and we went to bed about 9 o'clock, 9:30. And I woke up around 10. We were in the cots, of course, and I realized I left my rifle outside the tent laying up against a rock. It was a SOCOM 16. It's a 308 with about a 20-round mag in it. Anyway, I got up, put it back in the tent, went back to bed, and woke up about 11:30, midnight, by what I thought was raccoons around the table there where she'd made dinner. So I just grabbed her keys. It was an old Toyota Cressida or Corolla or something like that. But I hit the key lock where the lights come on and the horn beeps for a second, and figure I'd scare it away. And
well, can I interject?
Yeah.
Was it this ravine here to the right that I'm looking at now? Is that where the
tent was
so
between us and the chicken coop?
Okay, so the tent was right there in that flat spot.
Yep.
So where did the activity come up out of the ravine?
Well, initially, when I heard it, it was over to the left here.
Okay, so it came down from
so
that
between
way.
See that pine tree?
Yeah.
Well, about halfway between here and where we're standing, the pine tree and us, there was a big post oak. Okay. And it was dying. So I had she had a table set up there, and about 10-15 feet away was our tent.
Now, the interesting thing about that table is you said you'd set it up on PVC poles so that it was higher than a regular table to keep raccoons off of it.
Right.
So it was what, about 5 foot high?
At least. So we just, I just got back in the tent, went to bed with the gun, getting the gun, and then 11:30, 12 o'clock, I thought was raccoons woke me up. So I hit a car thing and got the horn beep and the lights came on, and about 15 minutes went by and it started up again. So I hit it again because it was keeping me up, and thought, well, that takes care of that, because there was no food out. She cleaned up everything. Well, the third time it got me, I did it, and then whatever it was, I must have ticked it off, because it started lip smacking and popping its teeth. And I knew right away it wasn't a raccoon, it wasn't a dog, it wasn't someone, goofing off in the woods, because I'm here every day. It's all open. When you're laying on a cot a foot off the ground or 2 foot off the ground, you can pretty much point to the source of the sound. And where it was coming from, there was nothing there. It would have been about 10 foot to the left of the post oak. Well, anyway, the thing started lip smacking, and I could tell it was directed at me. Reason I could tell is after about an hour, if you're talking to someone and look away at traffic or something and turn back, you can tell the difference in their voice. This thing was right at me, and I must have agitated it big time. So as time went on, and it started, like I say, around midnight, I guess it went on for about 2 hours. I'm just sitting in the cot, or laying on the cot on my back, thinking, well, I know what it isn't, and I think I have a good idea of what it is. Well, at around 2:30, 3 o'clock, one of the empty coffee cans fell off and hit the ground, and then things went super quiet. And I probably lost about a year right there just from the stress. So everything stayed quiet for another 15 minutes, and then it started up again. But it didn't start up until down in the pond area, I heard 3, and then immediately after that it started up. So I'm thinking to myself, there's at least 2 of what's ever here. But I think, and I don't know what their language is, but I think that was a coast is clear. Because when that coffee thing fell on the ground, it made a racket.
And could you tell that the one that was over your tent directed its attention to the table when that happened?
No, I couldn't tell that because I almost came out of my skin just from the fact that the coffee cup hit the ground. So I was really
Anxiety,
really squirrely then. But then, like I said, it didn't start up again until the one down in the pond there, which drops down about 15-20 feet, gave the 3 whoops. And then she, whatever it was, started lip smacking at me again. Well, again, I had to be up until about 5:30, 6 o'clock. And it was just an all-night thing. And this thing, boy, whatever it was, had a lot of patience to sit there and do that all night long at me.
And you could tell that it was higher than your tent?
Oh, absolutely.
Or kind of even slightly over your tent?
I could lay on my back 2 foot and almost point right to it. You know, and you're pointing, you know, I couldn't tell. It wasn't more than 30 feet away. But, you know, I knew it wasn't in the tree. So it was just one of those things where I was so scared. And thank goodness my wife slept like when she goes to sleep, she doesn't wake up. Because if she'd have woke up and said, go out there and see what that was,
you'd have been in trouble.
I wouldn't have done it. No, not even with that 308. I wouldn't have done it because I had a pretty good idea what it was. But anyway, around I guess 6 o'clock, it was right before daylight because I could see it start lightening up, and it immediately stopped. Well, she got up around 8:30 because I didn't sleep all night. I was still up, and she was like, "I got to go out and go to the restroom." And I'm thinking, "Yeah, you go out first. Let me know if you see anything." And then I went out when she wasn't screaming or anything, and the coffee cup was back on the table. So whatever knocked it off, put it back.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was an all-nighter right there. But there was at least 2 of them that were there. But yeah, it's right there between.
Yeah, you can see the chicken coop. So somewhere in there, in this flat area, where his tent was.
And like I said,
and the table was
about 10 foot to the left of that, maybe between us and that pine tree right there.
Okay. Wow. So it came up out of there on the left side, and then eventually you heard 3 small whoops come out of.
Yep, there was one
from the right side.
Down in the pond area down there. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Very interesting. The fact that the coffee can was back on the table. Here's what we surmised over talking about this throughout the years. Probably was a juvenile jacking around the table, and Big Daddy was hanging out by the tent, directing his attention to you and that dad blamed car that was making that car noise. And then when that little one knocked the thing off the table, everything went silent, and Dad probably gave him the stare down.
Well, don't forget, 2 days before that, I had the laser transit with the orange glasses they give you so you don't burn your eyes when you're looking at the laser. That was 2 days before this, and when we got up that morning, I yelled at her. I said, "What are you doing? You don't," because the orange glasses were down near the post oak. And I said, "What are you moving this stuff for? It's expensive." She's like, "I didn't touch it." So something grabbed those orange glasses and moved them 2 nights before.
Wow.
So maybe it was Junior. I don't know, but yeah.
You know, and I was just having a conversation with somebody down at the cafe who was a Bigfooting guy who was visiting here, knew who I was, and we chit-chatted, and we're talking about baits and stuff. I said, "Man, I'm telling you, baits they have little interest in food baits. Yeah. Very little interest. Their interest is in interesting things. Yeah. The baits, I've wasted so much time with baits. Baits are hit and miss, very random. But I tell you what, start thinking about them more like humans, and it's more of a curiosity of things rather than baits.
I believe that 100% as well. Yeah, they're too smart for that. You know. Maybe if they know 100% that they're not going to get bagged, maybe, but yeah, they're too smart, I think, for that. And I just still can't get over, because don't forget that was in October, and you know, this is an unusually warm winter, so a lot of leaves are just falling now. But a lot of times the leaves are like this in October. So how something that big moves and leaf litter like this right. without making a sound when you can hear a sparrow or a wren, you know, moving through it.
I know, a squirrel sounds like a 300-pound dude in flip-flops carrying Walmart bags.
So how does something that big move through all that leaf litter with twigs and everything, and all the dried branches underneath the leaf litter. It's
Yeah.
amazing, absolutely amazing for something that big.
Yeah.
But that's the story, and that was
Well,
October of 2006.
thank you so much, and especially thank you for putting it on here in a way that you were comfortable with.
Absolutely.
That just gives the information without giving away anything else.
Absolutely.
But I kind of told them where the location is. It's very close to my area.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right.